DreAllDay.com.
Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. Told you I was going to talk about this in the next video. Those of you who are salespeople, and everybody here is a salesperson, if you do any type of client-based work, meaning work where somebody asks you for the work or you make a pitch and then you get to basically name your price, you get to set your price of how much you're charging for your service. Here's a question that you must stop asking. What's your budget? Do not ask this question. Stop asking this question. Okay? If you're offering a service, stop asking people what their budget is. Now, if you sell houses, then you could ask people what their budget is, because then you got to decide which product, because the price of the house is not set by you. So that's not what I'm talking. I'm not talking about where you're selling something that somebody else decides what the price is. I'm talking about the things where you decide 100% the price. That means a professional speaker, if you're you're a wedding photographer, you're a coach or consultant, you're a trainer, anything where people come to you and you can set whatever number you want, how much somebody has to pay for your product or service. Stop asking people what their budget is. And let me tell you why you need to stop asking people what their budget is. Number one reason is, if I go to someone and ask them if they can do some work for me and they ask me what my budget is, I'm automatically my radar is telling me whatever number I give them, they're going to make me an offer that's somewhere around that number, maybe a little bit higher, maybe a little bit lower, because they're basing their price based on what they think I'm willing to pay. Which to me is a bullshit detector. It's a bullshit radar, because I don't want you to name me the price that you think I'm willing to pay. I want you to tell me what your actual price is. And if I got it, I got it. And if I don't, I don't. And if I want it, I want it. If I don't, I don't. But don't base your price. Because now that I told you, if I say my budget is $500 and you send me an offer for $485, all right, now I'm thinking, all right, your numbers is based on whatever I would have said. If I would have said $1,000, your price would have been $950. You're basing it, I think that you're basing it on what I say. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean you are. Maybe your price really is that. But if it was, you should have just told me that instead of asking me my budget. So that's the first reason why you should stop asking people what their budget is. And here's the second reason, is that if the other person names the price first, you ask them what their budget is, and they name a number, now they have anchored the negotiation. So let's say I'm a speaker, right? Somebody calls me and says, Dre, we'd like you to come speak at our event. How much do you charge for a speaking gig? And I say, how much? And let's just say I got a price. I already know my price. I say my price is $10,000. It's in my head, but I haven't told them yet. And they ask me my budget, and I say, I ask them, instead of telling them the price, instead of saying $10,000, I say, well, okay, thanks for calling. What's your budget? And they say, well, our budget is somewhere between $3,000 and $5,000. Now, what do? Now I done just fucked up. I just blew the whole thing. If I tell them 10,000, I know, and they know since they already anchored the negotiation, the conversation at 3,000 to 5,000. If I say 10, we all know that it's over, because I let them anchor the whole thing. They threw the first number out at 3,000 to 5,000. Now I didn't blew it. If I say 10, I know it's over. Now if I'm desperate and I'm like, I just need to get a check, and I say, all right, 5,000, and let's say they say yes. Even if they say yes, I done just lost $5,000, and they say yes, they pay me $5,000. Now I done just cut my price in half. I'm not a $10,000 speaker anymore, because I just accepted $5,000. They asked me what my price was. I gave them $5,000 because I thought that's what they would accept, because they said their budget was $3,000 to $5,000. I blew it. Either way, even if I get the deal, I blew it, because I'm not staying true to my business. I have no posture. If you in your head say your price is $10,000, and somebody says, well, our budget is $5,000, so then you quote 5 because you think that's what they're going to pay, so you can get the 5. All right, you lost all your posture. You lost all your positioning. In life, if you want to have power, you got to be willing to say no, and you got to be willing to position other people to say no. Meaning, somebody offers you something that you don't want, and you know is what you don't want, you got to be willing to walk away from it. That's you saying no. But also, you got to be willing to let another person know, this is where I'm at, and if you can't come here, then you need to say no, and you need to go elsewhere. You must be willing to do that. If you're not willing to do that, you will never have posture. You'll never have power in life. In every area of life, you got to be willing to do this. And a lot of people are so unwilling because they're afraid of losing out on a little bit that they might get. See, if you call yourself a $10,000 consultant or coach or trainer, but you think the prospect who's calling you, they only got $5,000, so you lower your price to $5,000 so you can get the $5,000. All right, you are working out of fear. You're acting out of fear. You're acting out of a scarcity mindset. And when your mindset is there's not much to go around, you become a scavenger. You become a vulture who will just take whatever you can get. And at that point, you lose your posture. You lose your power. And it's not about how other people see you. It's about how you see you. If I say my price is 10 grand, but then the next 3 people who call me, I'm quoting 5 because I think that's all they got just so I can get the check. All right, now I'm not a $10,000 person anymore. Now I'm a $5,000 person, which is fine if that's what you want to be. But I thought you said you were worth 10. You understand this? Here's another reason why you stop asking people what their budget is. And it ties into what I just said. When you're in a position of power, your price is not based on what the other person has. Your price is based on the value you deliver, what you know you're worth, and either they got it or they don't. Period. There was a speaker, I believe his name was Sean Stevenson. He died a couple years ago. He was, I don't even know what they call him. He was wheelchair bound and he was small. I don't know what they call it. I think midget is politically not correct, but whatever the word is, he was really small, like 3 feet tall or something. He was in a wheelchair. But he was a really good speaker. And he was telling this story about how someone called him for a speaking gig. And he said to them, like, yo, do you know what my speaking fee is? And the people said, yeah, we know what your fee is, but, you know, we're not quite sure we can get that much money together. And Sean, the way he talked, it was like, he said it was like a tongue-in-cheek thing, but he was being serious. He said, well, I'm thinking to myself, when they said that, like, yeah, we know your fee, but we're not sure we have it. He said, I said to myself, well, how is this my problem? How is it my problem that you don't have the money? Either you got it or you don't. And that's what he was communicating, even though he didn't say it in so many words. That's what I took from it. Sean Stevenson, was willing to turn down that gig if they weren't able to come up with the money that he was demanding. That's posture. That's what posture means. This is the fee. Either you got it or you don't have it. But we ain't negotiating because this is my price. A lot of you out there in business and in life, you don't have a set fee, a set thing that you're demanding. Thusly, you're flexible in what you're willing to accept and what you're not willing to accept. You have no principles. You have no posture. Therefore, you have no positioning. Therefore, you have no power. And then you're wondering why you feel pitiful. See how all that goes together? You want to have positioning, power, and posture in this life? You set the terms of engagement. How you set the terms of engagement is very simple. When someone comes to you and asks you, and they say to you, hey, we want you for this. What is it going to take to get you here? You don't ask them what their budget is. Who cares what their budget is? Somebody comes to me for a speaking gig, I don't give a fuck what their budget is. You know why? Because I know what my number is. I tell them this is the price. Are you in or you out? And if they're in, great, let's do the deal. Tell me, give me more details. We'll talk about it and we'll work it out and I'll come deliver it. And I know I'm going to over deliver because I know what I can do. That's my power. That's my posture. And if they say no, yo, we only got a third of that as a budget. They usually don't even say that. They'll just say, hey, your price was a little bit out of our range, but thank you. And I'll say, you're welcome. And I'll hang the phone up and I'll keep it moving. I'll go back to my business. If you're not willing to say no, and you're not willing to make other people say no, and you're not willing to walk away when no gets said, well, you're going to get whittled down to zero. Eventually, your price will become half of your price, then a third of your price, then a quarter of your price, and then before you know it, you don't even have a price. You're doing everything for free. What do you want to be? What you want to do? I'm going to let you think about that. Work on your game. DreAllDay.com.